All right. Good morning, everybody. I'm Vince Devall with Eagle Homes, and this is the Eagles Nest podcast. And I'm here with Mr.
Brad Brewer, also with Eagle Homes, powered by EXP Realty.
Wonderful. All right. So this week, I think we're gonna bullshit our way through this podcast and talk a little Mother's Day weekend, maybe a little real estate, because I do have a couple things real estate related. I think we're kind of interesting and fun. But without going into some more details.
Yeah, this market's getting interesting heading into summer, so I think we'll have a few things to talk about there. But that was code word from Vince for we didn't have really a set agenda like we normally do today.
Right. Well, and next week we're going to have a special guest from Egress Windows.
Egress Windows.
Egress.
Mike Rabone will be here, so looking forward to talking to him about the value. I'm sure we'll get into several topics about the benefits of egress windows.
Yeah.
And of course, one of them does increase the value of your home, things like that. So
what's that? Yeah, I guess we'll talk on that next week, because I'm going to lead me to some questions, but we'll wait till next week to see what that is, what that looks like, and we'll go from there. So Mother's Day this weekend. Hopefully everyone had a great Mother's Day.
Yep.
Thank you to the moms, grandmas, those dads out there that have to play dad and mom, vice versa. Thank you to everybody that is a mom. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. Hopefully you got spoiled a little bit. I know my wife, we chose to go camping this weekend. We went to Jellystone in Caledonia, which kids love the place. In my eyes, Jellystone is just, they just suck the money out of you. They find a way to charge you for every little thing. They're like, "Oh, you sneezed, you owe us $5." So it's quite interesting. But we got to see Bella Kane. My wife and I's wedding anniversary is coming up. 9 years this coming Wednesday. Crazy. We are
crazy that you've been married 9 years, or that she's put up with you for 9 years.
I think a combination of both.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, coming from the guy that's been married 20 years.
23 this month.
Yeah.
And still shocked.
Yep. So
one that she said yes.
We should one week bring throwback pictures of when what we looked like, A, when we got married, and B, when we were younger. I think it'd be kind of fun.
More hair, a little thinner, a lot thinner. And
I was gonna go there, but
that's obviously younger.
Yeah.
Less grace. But for what I have left. But well, no, just on that note, real quick. I know you got a comment to say, but I'll forget. So it has to come out now.
What's
my
that?
wife and I always say, there's in every relationship, somebody's an overachiever. I'm a proud overachiever for the last quarter century.
He outkicked his coverage, ladies and gentlemen.
Outkicked my coverage by far. So
so with that being said, where I was going with that was we had Bella Kane, great band out there. They do a little bit of everything from country music to rock to classic rock to pop, hip hop, R&B, rap. I first started following Bella Kane when they 10, 11 years ago now, whenever it was, they started their band. Had some friends that played in. The band has just exploded. It's been so much fun. But they were playing at Jellystone on Saturday night, that huge tent set up. So our daughters got to see the band that played at our wedding, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's funny. Funny comment on that. That was the first time I ever saw Bella King was at your wedding. I had never seen them before.
Yeah.
And they're a big, I guess, would you call them local, regional? Like what?
I'd say local to Southeast Wisconsin, Northern Illinois.
Yeah. They've got a pretty big following.
Yeah, they do.
They're really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what.
Everything from like fireworks during the show to fire to TVs behind them. And they really get the crowd into it. It's definitely a fun show.
They're super talented. That just always makes me think and I think golf's kind of similar, or any sport,
right?
Or any skill that you're super good at.
Mm-hmm.
Like they totally have the talent. They can be big. There's a lot of singers that could be big. But I think it just takes a little bit of luck, the right timing or whatever. I guess that never happened for Bella Kane.
Well, they've had a few that have left, going to explore other avenues. But it's So we got to spend Mother's Day camping, and then packing on. Camping's fun until you have to pack and unpack, and so we spent most of Sunday unpacking the camper, and then Kind of catching up. It was a couple long nights for the girls. They, both nights were up till 11 o'clock, give or take. And of course, up when the sun and birds start to chirp. So,
which is about 5 o'clock now, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, it's getting earlier. It's getting earlier. What about you, Brad? I saw some pictures you shared with myself and another buddy. What did you do?
A lot. I'm still tired from it.
Okay.
So first and foremost, I will say your camping comment. So the wife and I on Saturday were driving to pick up some supplies from what I'm going to talk about next. And we were driving by, what's the RV place on 50?
It's like Generation RV now or something.
Yeah,
I don't
Generation
know the
RV.
name of it. Yeah.
And we had a seasonal park model, so it didn't move. And we did have it camping for about 10 minutes, about 6 years ago or something, might have been longer, actually longer than that, excuse me. And we were driving by and said, yeah, should we think about maybe camping again? That'd be kind of fun. Before my wife even answers, I say, you know what, never mind, because then I always just start thinking about the whole getting ready to go, packing it up, setting it up, and then you got to tear it down. I said, those just weekend trips like that are just not for me because it feels like, and I said, no offense, son, but the guy's doing all the work on this. At least in our relationship. So
I can say we split responsibilities pretty well. Like,
okay, well,
the wife gets the inside all packed up, beds made, things like that. We usually help each other unpack, but when it comes to everything else, the setting up on the outside, that's more me.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's that quickly turned. So yeah, my weekend was let's see, Saturday morning I had a couple real estate activities. I had a showing on new listing. W3538 Washington Drive is now on the market for $384,900. 4-bedroom, 3-bath, way up on the hill, kind of scenically seasonal views of Lake Como, which is pretty cool. So that was the first thing I did Saturday morning. Then came home, wife hopped in the truck, and we went to First Best Bargains. Great prices on meat, stuff like that, just south of Highway 50 and off of KD.
Yeah,
those that have never been there. So we'll throw out the Best Bargains. So we kind of talked about I wanted to fire up the smoker this weekend. Now, when I fire up the smoker, I could do one thing, but I like to just cook several stuff. We freeze some of it. So I picked up a pork butt for pulled pork, a beef brisket, and then I pick up a slab of ribeyes. And I think and this is just because now a good handful to 10 people have told me, I probably have the best smoked ribeye recipe around. I'll just go ahead and say that.
All right.
So of course I start sending prep photos. The first thing I do with the rib, and I actually did it with the brisket this weekend too, which turned out really well, is I put the ribeye slab in a 5-hour soak in bourbon. So I started sending a picture to Vince and our buddy Tom on that one.
It looked delicious. I mean, even though it was raw, I just wait.
Yeah. And then after I take out the soak of the bourbon, I then started putting the rubs on there that I use. I use a combination. I change it up sometimes too. This one was basically a butter, lemon, or butter, salt, and pepper was the primary mix on this one. And then I smoke it to still below rare. So I only smoke it up to about 100 degrees.
It takes you how long?
That takes just on the heat, and I did it.
You guys can't hear that, but that was an accident.
Yeah, that was funny though. Actually tied in. I'm starting to dream of that's the one thing. Oh, we'll get to that. I didn't eat that this weekend, so that's like I'm gonna probably grill those now. Anyway, I smoke up about 100 degrees. It takes probably about 5 hours, depending on the temp, 5 or 6 hours.
Okay.
So I put that one on. Would have been about 10 o'clock. No, actually, it was more like 8 o'clock Sunday morning. Okay. The brisket went on at 11 p.m. on Saturday night. So the brisket actually went on first because that takes the longest. It turns out really good and juicy if you do like a good 10-hour smoke at a low heat. We're talking, I think I had it at 180. Okay. Pretty much on the brisket. That's just done with a rub. I actually bourbon soaked it, which turned out great. And then after it comes off, I double wrap it in aluminum foil, and I put it in a cooler, lock in all the heat and the juices and stuff. and it rests for at least 2 hours. Actually, it had a good 4 hour rest on it.
Okay.
That turned out great. We ate that in the pulled pork. So the pulled pork is done last. It's done at a higher temp, and you got to get the pork up to 205 ish before it'll pull. But you do want to be consistent with your heat. They actually recommended 250 on the temp, but I put it on later than I wanted, and I definitely wanted that done last night. So I did 275, which it pulled perfect. I mean, and then I was sending the stage process pictures to Vince and Tom, and I think they wish they were over for.
I expected a slab of meat brought in this morning to the podcast room.
I
almost comments that didn't happen though.
No, I almost grabbed a baggie of it, and because we
jackass.
So sorry, but I'll enjoy the ribeyes tonight.
So let's go into why were you at Best Bargain? What the hell did you buy from Best Bargain besides your meats? Careful there.
They have a lot of different things. They have good prices on produce.
Oh, come on, let's talk about why you really went there. What did you buy?
Oh,
what do we got coming up in a
that's
month?
right.
So
I bought a bunch of hot dogs and brats.
Why'd you do that?
Well, because Vince and I we haven't locked in our location yet, but we're pretty certain our location. I'm only not saying it because we're having it at a lender's office that
we still got to work that detail out.
Doesn't know about it yet.
Okay, just checking. That
I know he's gonna be fine. Yeah, in about a month we're having it'll be a client appreciation, but it's going to be pretty much downtown Burlington. So, whoever we're going to be grilling brats, hot dogs, and then as long as we can get a good price on them, which my wife is the queen of bargain shopping. No pun intended with the best bargains. Hamburgers as well. So so I got a ridiculous deal on about 100 hot dogs over the weekend, which is nice. Awesome. And the brats were priced really well too. Yeah.
So it's good. Are we charging for this, or is this absolutely free?
Well, unless we changed our mind, it's 100% free.
Sweet. Love it. Well, everyone loves free stuff. And it's ideally our goal. Let's just get it out there is June 22nd. I don't know if you said that already, but June 22nd, early afternoon, same time as the farmer's market. Hopefully it's not raining. Hopefully we can steal a corner piece of property and set it up and grill right there and just give away some free food. I think it'd be a great opportunity. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Well, we do have the backup location.
We do.
If we don't partner up with a lender, which I'm sure we will.
Yeah. Let's go to a little real estate. Unless there's something else you wanted to talk about.
No, just only other thing we tried to do this weekend, we were going to work outside in the yard, and it was just cold and rainy.
Yeah, it was kind of dreary. We were going to do flowers, and the wife's like, let's just do it next weekend. The weather wasn't great, and
yeah,
there's off and on drizzle. She's like, I don't feel like casting with that. I was like, all right, fine. I was happy. I got to take an hour nap.
No, my wife ended up having a very relaxing Mother's Day. She got to chill. I think she was going to do some baking. I'm not sure she did that. Huh. But she was working on some other projects and just chilling with the dogs. And
nice.
Our daughter was at a friend's the whole weekend. So pre-permission from mom to
bada bing, bada boom.
Not be around. So anyway. So yeah, that's about it. Let's
real estate.
Let's talk real estate.
I want to talk. So I had a listing that went live Thursday, Apollo Court in Muquanago. Let me tell you, if you're looking to sell in Muquanago, this weekend we had 12 offers, 24 showings on a very well-kept, nice house in Muquanago. But what I want to share is the service level. There's a couple things as a real estate agent, and I'm not knocking any agents out there by any means, but I want everyone to understand like the importance of communication from our side of things to the other agents and making sure everyone's in the loop on what's going on. We had a very, I'd say, strict timeline on when we were allowing showings, and we had a deadline on when we were going to when we were going to review all offers. So Thursday to Sunday, we were reviewing 6 p.m. Sunday night. I, took probably 20 calls on this property this weekend. And different questions on, are you sticking to that timeline? Are you, are you, how many offers do you have on hand? Do they have sellers have a preferred closing date? Oh, just valuable information. And I was pleasantly surprised by how grateful agents were that I answered the phone or called them back if I didn't get to the phone in time, because I was camping this weekend, right? So it just blew my mind, and it made me go back to think, we at times, I'll call an agent or I'll send an agent a text or an email and get absolutely zero response, or it might take a couple days before I get a reply back. And it's, if you're trying to sell your property, why are you, as an agent, why are you not getting back to those agents out there that are interested in your property? I think there's some value there.
100%. And so for all you, everybody that's not a realtor out there that's will look to buy in or sell, those are great interview questions for your agent. Ask them about their communication with other agents. Ask them about just communication in general, but it's really critically important. You can, there's all different types of ways to negotiate. That's part of it, but communication is key. And as a seller, you did a justice to your seller because you made sure that all parties had the opportunity in this competitive nature that we're in right now.
Jesus, crazy.
It's insane. But you gave every buyer's agent an opportunity to put their client's best foot forward.
Yep.
And I'll just say this. Vince emailed last night with the email he was going to send everybody that got rejected. And I just didn't, that actually gave too much information. Like,
it was close.
Well, if your deal falls apart, you kind of played your hand there for negotiations in the future. So, but he was really wanting to make sure that people knew, and he got calls.
Yeah.
And you got a call from an agent that asked.
I've already dealt with either three different inquiries on either text, email on why their deal wasn't accepted or what they had to do for future reference to make their deal more powerful. And it wasn't, a lot of it dealt with contingencies, price, appraisal gaps, inspections. There was a lot of contributing factors that had to be weighed on which deal they accepted. Now, I can't go into details of the deal they accepted until it closes, but and which ones were on the table, and it's quite interesting.
Let's talk a minute on. So, I want to talk a little bit about some of the terms that were on the table, because we're back. We're at a point again where, so pay attention, sellers here
And buyers.
And buyers. It's not all about price.
Correct.
Okay. First of all, it's only going to appraise for so much. So,
well, let me throw one out there. So someone had an escalation clause on there for this house, and that escalation clause was it was extremely high, and there's no appraisal gap. Like, there's no way this house would appraise at that escalation clause.
All right. So there's a lot of things beyond price. So this is when we start talking the other contingencies. He just mentioned one, appraisal gap. Essentially what that is if the home's listed for 350, because when you price a home for around 350, you expect that's about what it's worth. I mean, unless you're going for some different strategy. So if you start getting offers around 390, 400, I mean, is it really going to appraise for 400? It's only so big. It's only so much. You still have to deal with comps. Appraisers have to justify that. But if a buyer is willing to pay 40 grand over, they could put an appraisal gap saying, hey, if it's X dollars, if the appraisal comes in X number of dollars, under our agreed purchase price, the buyer is willing to cover it. Would never recommend it personally, because you got to be careful. What is the market going to do? Are you going to own that home for 5 years, 10 years? That's a whole different strategy that you should talk one-on-one with your agent about, just because you have to, at the end of the day, I make recommendations. Vince makes recommendations. Good agents make recommendations on offers. And we try to put our client in the position where when they call us up in whatever number of years, if our first answer is, oh boy, for what you bought that for, and what the market is, that's not a response you want.
Good luck.
I was going to say, oh shit. Yeah. So, I mean, we advise on that stuff, but then there's so many other contingencies. Let's talk about a few other than the appraisal gap that, I know one's inspection. I'm sure you got some with no inspection.
I think we were about 50-50 on inspections, on ones that chose to waive inspection versus having an inspection. Like some of the inspection. Now, with those inspections, I can tell you that almost everyone that asked for an inspection, there might have been only one or two, but I would say for more than 90% of them or 75% of the ones that asked for inspection were also going to not ask for repairs unless they were above a certain dollar amount. So they were like, one was 3,000, unless repairs were greater than the cumulative repairs were greater than $3,000, they weren't going to ask for any repairs. One was 5,000. So that then takes that inspection to be more of a for knowledge base instead of trying to get a reduction in price.
Yeah, and there's ways to do inspection contingencies without just completely waiving it. I wrote one recently. We just said, hey, we're going to focus on structural and foundational. Anything outside of that, don't care.
Yeah.
Seller, buyers will take care of it, not concerned about it, things like that. But again, that's within your buyer comfort zone. That buyer I'm working with right now, he's a very handy person. He can take care of a lot of stuff. If something comes up, he feels knowledgeable. He can take care of himself. Not majorly concerned. Me personally, I can barely use anything past a drill or a screw gun. So electrical, plumbing, I'm going to be a little bit more concerned about it.
He's calling Vince.
Probably. Or my dad's started his career as a plumber by trade, retired now, but handy in a lot of areas around the home. Quite frankly, in my home ownership days, Pops has got quite a few phone calls and walked me through some stuff over the phone, which he's thankfully really good at. So yeah, I've got resources, but I can't myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
what
else? What else was kind of like some things that
we had a couple of home sale contingencies on there too. Home sale contingencies are really tough right now.
That was one of your better offers too, if I recall.
Yeah.
So I'll let you comment on this further since you just dealt with
it. With any contingency, there's a risk, right? There's a risk that even though there was a home sale, we had three offers with home sale contingencies, and one of them was scheduled to close May 30th, I think the date was. The other two were ready to go on the market, just were waiting for the right house, right? So my sellers didn't want to screw around with a home sale contingency, because who knows, even though that house looks like it could be priced right, and there's a need for that, there's a need for both those homes in that market at the suggested price point. And I know that they would have sold or got offers very quickly. Now, what happens if they accept an offer with, let's say, a home inspection? Home inspector comes in, finds out the roof is crap, and they try to negotiate a repaired roof, new roof, and the sellers go, no, we don't want to do that, right? Now, there's something to be said about if they're already under contract on another home that they really love, they're going to figure out a way to get through that home sale contingency. But it's still a risk my sellers weren't willing to take. And it's, I can't quite disclose what the price difference was, but it was a good chunk of change. And
if I recall, though, that was one with a home sale contingency overall, not including their price. It was overall a really good competitive offer, right? It
was no inspection.
So my point is
appraisal gap.
Buyers, again, through consultation with your agent, don't be afraid if you have to do a home sale contingency. Yeah. Because you can put a very solid offer out there. And as an agent, so if I'm writing an offer for you on buying a house and we're gonna have a home sale contingency, and then I'm gonna turn around and help you sell your house, right? I'm gonna pass along the details because the seller's agent is going to ask.
Oh, of course.
And I know you asked.
I did.
They're going to ask, where are you pricing it? You're going to, and as I'm sure Vince did this on those that were the competitive contingencies. He's going to what? You're going to check the price that it's going to be listed for. When's it going to market? You're going to kind of run your own analysis on how long you think it'll sell, what any known issues that could come up with it. And then, do you plan on offering with a home sale contingency? That's actually a good question, because if they're going to rule out home sale contingencies, I'd feel very comfortable with that. You start getting 2 deals down your line and you're relying on another home sale contingency, that could get a little dicey. That would just make it just
becomes a domino effect that more than one thing could go wrong on it, right?
It's just overall, you're already dealing with another party's contingencies.
Right.
And the more contingencies you add, the more risk.
Right.
Yep. That's the way it is. But don't be afraid. I know we've both gotten deals done with home sale contingencies in this market, and you can definitely do it. You have to look at your overall terms.
Yeah.
So
And I can tell you too, my sellers, they, their credit, their, financial situation, they were able to find a home, get financed for another home through a HELOC on their current home so that they could buy their home without a home sale contingency. They didn't want to screw around with that. So, as a buyer, if you have a home, talk to your agent about, other ways and means, and your lender, other ways and means to purchase a home without having a home sale contingency. Because there's some, value there too. Like, try to get away with the home sale contingency, but if you need to lift it, do you have that option?
yeah, there's all kinds of ways. Like I said, your clients used a HELOC. There's you can borrow from your 401k or another retirement account if you've got that ability. Even an IRA, you can, or mutual fund, you can pull the money typically for 60 days, which is really a lot of times all you need it for.
Right.
And as long as you put it back within 60 days,
You're good.
There's no tax or penalty that you're going to pay on it. So, there's always be aware, and that's a good thing to talk to your lender is always good. Your agent knows about these other ways to look at it. We don't know usually everything about our client's financial situation, but the lender usually does.
Right.
So it's one of those things where ask your lender about other options.
Yeah.
And what you can do to avoid doing the home sale contingency, because that would be the cleanest, right?
Yep.
Here's another thing. We done on that topic?
Sure, we can move on.
It's kind of a related topic, but I'm going to flip this around. For those who are thinking about selling and they know they're going to be in a home sale contingency situation, a lot of consumers, and I dealt with this 2 years ago when it was super hot, and I think we're going to deal with it again this year. Sellers are afraid to put their house on the market because, well, if I sell, mine's going to sell quick. Then what if it takes me a little bit to find something?
Right.
Well, we just talked about home sale contingencies. We can do a home purchase contingency. And I've successfully done this a number of times over the last 3 or 4 years, where when we get offers in and we sell it quick, we just counter the offers or let them know that we're going to put this in there right away is a home purchase contingency, meaning like, hey, that's great. We're going to accept your offer, but you're going to have to give us X number of days to now go find something. Because even if you have a home sale contingency, you are in such a much better position if you have your home at least under contract and if you're through a number of your contingencies.
Right.
So that's actually a good argument to go ahead. If you're going to sell and buy, go ahead and get your house listed. And buyers are patient. Or there's also alternatives. I've done one of these recently where you have a post-closing occupancy.
Yeah.
Buyers sometimes want to say, all right, yeah, I'll rent it back to you. Some of them won't even charge you the rent. You just got to continue to pay your utilities and stuff. Again, every deal is negotiated, but there are options out there. So if you need to sell, upsize, downsize, relocation, whatever, there are so many strategies that agents can work with and around. And that's our job.
Yep.
So
like the post occupancy, I think is a great way to do it too, like you said. And as a buyer, I think it just gives you a little extra negotiating if you go, hey, we'll give you post occupancy, but I'm not going to charge you. I'm going to let you live rent free for 30 days. And people are like, oh, okay.
Absolutely. It was going to help. We ended up not needing it, but it was going to help in one of the offers that we made. And they're like, oh, you won't charge us? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
No, just continue to pay your utilities and all your other stuff until.
Yeah, don't burn the place down. Don't destroy it.
Well, there's insurance is a whole nother topic on that, but yeah, that's it. So bottom line is when you're in these markets, there's a lot of different strategies to not have home sale contingencies, but if you do have a home sale contingency, and there's home purchase contingencies, like I said. But back to the you need a good agent and an agent that's good at communicating.
Great agent. It's good.
All
right.
Somebody didn't eat their humble pie for breakfast this morning.
I ate my Wheaties, buddy.
That's definitely not humble. We's the breakfast of champions. This is the champions, guys. I'm gonna kick his butt on Wednesday though. Anyway, so yeah, just consult. Just consult with us. Forget other agents. Just call us.
I like that philosophy. 262-205-7405.
Yeah. If you don't want to talk about real estate for the day, I don't care. We just like talking to people. I'll talk to you about golf. If you guys want my smoking recipes, I'll hand them out. I'm not gonna make any money on them, but they do please people. And
We should create an Eagle Homes cookbook, and that should be our housewarming gift. I think between your wife, the two of us,
yeah, because I mean, I've actually the times I've had meals at your house, you've been the chef, not Amy. So I can't speak to Amy's. I can't speak to Amy's.
Andrew
chef.
can do the baking. We could talk about the entrees.
She can bake. She can cook too.
Yeah, so
she actually.
We should do that.
Yeah.
That's going to be Andrew's next project.
And then
besides social coordinator.
Yeah, I mean, and right. Yeah, actually, I'm not that good at cook except certain.
Yeah,
like basically anything outside of a grill or smoker.
Here's my problem. When I cook, it is usually that looks good. Let's just put that much in. It's not really a recipe, so I'll probably screw it up a dozen times.
So, on that regard, fun story. So my wife's Hispanic, and
really,
yeah,
I'm just kidding.
You know this. People can't hear this shit. Stop hitting those buttons. That was the there's the laughing one. But anyway, so my wife's Hispanic, so her grandmother grew up making tortillas. It's a great memory for my wife. She enjoys it. She always said her grandmother smelled tortillas, so every time she smells tortillas, it's a great memory of her grandmother. Her grandmother, when she was making tortillas, and she did them from scratch. My wife kind of does it the cheat way now. No offense, honey, they're delicious. Buying the premix bag of flour at the store. Her grandmother did everything by hand.
By hand, yeah.
And totally from scratch. Her measuring was her hand. Flour, everything. She measured in her hand. I remember watching all the time. I'm like, that's fascinating to me. Like, no, and the tortillas are kind of a form of baking.
Right. It's a little bit of a science because it's to that.
Yeah, when you're dealing with stuff with flour and like the stuff that's in the baking here, precise measurements are pretty important.
Right.
It fascinated me to watch her put the flour, the sugar, whatever else, other ingredients, and she measured with her hands. So, and my wife cooks a lot like that. She's like, oh, this and this, and she'll taste and like, nope, a little more of this, a little more.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna need a recipe to make that. Blows my mind. But anyway.
All right. Well, we're right at 9:30, guys. We're gonna cut out here. We'll be back next week, same bad time, same bad channel. We will have Mike Raboyne with Easy Grass Windows. So hopefully everyone can join us. If not, we will share it in our newsletter in a week. But otherwise, we'll see you guys next week. I'm Vincent Devall with Eagle Homes, powered by EXP.
And I'm Brad Brewer. And as always, these videos and other great videos and tips, by the way, are on our YouTube channel at Eagle Homes 72 is our handle for our YouTube channel. So check it out for this and many other types of videos.
Have a great week, everyone. We'll talk to you later. Bye.